Hello and welcome everyone to Highway to the Zemus Zone 4, one of 64 match 1 between Herewaard and profcory. I'm Alchemy and I'm joined by the Pwn Master Ninja, Baka Shinobi. How's it going, Baka?
It's going great. Seems like we're gonna have a fair number of punchlines tonight with Young as their starting character.
Jang's a rough character to start because, as you may know from watching other tournament matches, Young's early power is somewhat lacking because what Young needs is levels, not equipment.
Yeah, and turns out experience is a little hard to go and get on these flag sets when you can't get sirens easily from shops because no J items is on. Not going to be able to go and just buy a bunch of them. If you want them, your only way of reliably getting sirens is to get Edge in your party and take him to some place where he can steal sirens.
Or the less popular but equally effective grind is to grab a Tela and go up to the giant and do some dimensions.
That's correct. And well, one thing about Tella is that he's not guaranteed to show up because we do have C maybe on, so maybe he shows, maybe he doesn't. Nobody knows until the seed starts and you find 1, 2, or 6 of him.
And you never know. Maybe, Edge also doesn't show up. We don't know. Anything could happen. But with Yang on the table, using the Charm I believe, you could do the Mag Giant grind on the Giant, right?
Yep, that is another option. That is another grind available, which much less strict than the D machine grind, but also much more dangerous because there's a lot of ways for it to kill you. The D machine is just going to go and cast flame, while Mac Giants, they're just going to punch you. Their normal attack is to punch just everything. So you usually want to have. Oh, go ahead.
As far as I'm aware, it's also a bit of a slower grind. It gives like less EXP, I believe.
Yeah, they give slightly less experience per. The Mac Giants give a little bit more experience, or about as much experience, I think, as a Gold Dragon, where the D Machines give a bit more than Gold Dragons.
So at the very least, we have that going for us. Like, no matter what, we have the the Mac Giant grind to fall onto as a safety.
Yeah, that is correct, because we're going to need the Darkness Crystal with these objectives. We have the 3 static objectives of Defeat Wyvern, Complete Cave Bahamut, and Forge the Legend Sword with the Adamant. And then we have 2 random objectives of Open the Treasury with the Earth Crystal and Conquer the Vanillus Crystal Sword Altar.
Crystal Sword Altar. Vanillus Crystal Sword Altar. Oh my, wow. Wow.
And because we only need to complete 4 of the 5, you can go and take your pick. But because 2 of those are on the moon and require the Darkness Crystal, you're going to need to go and find that Darkness Crystal.
You obviously want some levels to defeat the boss of Cave Bahamut and at the Crystal Sword Altar. But what if both are free? Could you imagine?
It would definitely be a very gutsy play to go up there without taking levels. That's something where I had a seed recently. I've had 2 seeds where at least 3 objectives were just directly on the moon, where we have that static cave Bahamut, and then I had each seed I had recently had to go to one of the altars on the moon, and in addition to that, other objectives just showed up. 2 other objectives showed up gated by moon, so it was very hard required to go into that lunar subterrane. You can get that here. That Earth Crystal or that Legend Sword and Adamant can be up on the moon. Wyvern could be just chilling in his vanilla location, so it's even more required. But it's going to go and be a question mark until we see what runners start with and what bosses start showing up on Earth.
There are 6 bosses in the moon, so there are 6 spots for Wyvern to show up, and the runners need to defeat 2 of those spots to get the objectives. So there's like room to play here with like statistics, for sure.
Yep. One thing that we can say about Wyvern is he's one of the bosses who can't gate the logical path underground, so that's one less place for Wyvern to be able to show up. That is because we have safety flags on that prevent certain bosses from blocking the only way underground, who could be incredibly rude. Wyvern, with his normal script, will just absolutely roast a lot of parties, and not the funny kind that I try and be.
So I would like to remind the audience that K-Summon is not on, so any key item on the blue planet that is not a key item is a key item on the moon.
Yep, and that assassin knife, that's not something you go and really enjoy starting with, but Kane can use it, and it's still better than his starting weapon. And speaking of things to start with, let's starting things off with a Kane and a raid from Commander Leonhardt. Thank you for joining us. We were just starting the seed now.
Assassin Dagger is extra nice. I mean, it's not like a super powerful cane weapon, but if you know how to abuse the power of the strange and mysterious ATP system, you can defeat three bosses, that is, bosses that do not have the boss speed are vulnerable to instant death, in one fell swoop with the Assassin Dagger.
Yes, and if you're feeling incredibly ambitious, you could also try and take out some trap chests with those as well, because, well, Assassin Dagger can go and proc instant death, but it is going to be very scary.
You will need to take some punches for that, I will feel like. So maybe you want some armor on Kane for that first.
Yeah, and speaking of looking for some armor, both our runners are going straight to Watery Pass to go and do some looting.
Well, we get a Drain Sphere, so if we find an Alt Gauntlet at the Maga Sister spot, we can defeat those clans.
Yeah, yes, that is. I'm sure there's been more than one point when someone's gotten stymied by an alt gauntlet because they can't go and deal damage to slimes, because slimes have an inherent quadruple resistance to physical damage, so they take minimal damage for that, which drain weapons go and bypass.
We also find a Self Summon, which is one of the best early game to mid games summons that Rydia can use. So if we find a Rydia somewhere, that's gonna be nice. Speaking of, it's absolutely incredible. Like, sometimes you see runners going completely wild different directions, and it's like we are seeing the same feat twice.
Yep.
It's incredible.
The Watery Pass is one of the best places to loot early game. The only place overworld that really beats it is Evelyn Castle. Evelyn Castle does have those nasty trapped encounters, which would force resets and usually go and just bleed more time from our runners. So I do understand why people would go and wish to say, I'm just going to hit the Watery Pass, grab a few chests, and 2 minutes, 40 seconds in, be done with this, do a little bit of shopping, and have some knowledge about the seed.
Are they using the same controller? Is that what's happening here?
You've heard of one player, two controller races. Now you have two player, one controller races.
Yeah.
But here we have divergence. Herewaard is going to Mount Hobbs to check for a character. Profcory is checking the Damsian Waterfall, finding Bahamut, a free boss that you would like to find somewhere else.
Well, I believe Chad was saying that the person sleeping on the bed was Sid, which is very nice for that early game, because Jiang, as we stated earlier, lacks in early game power. Sid starts at level 20, so out of the gate can equip some powerful weapons, so that's very nice.
Yep.
We found a Tela! Oh
and
my.
a Peldim. Meanwhile, Profcory, looting the Damsian treasury, finds a dancing dagger, which Kane can use as an item to do about 300 damage.
Kane can equip daggers. Sounds good in my book.
Yep, and Kane can jump, which is what Herewaard's using to keep Kane in the back row, who would normally suffer penalties for attacking Peldim, but because he's using jump and not the fight command, he is going to go and avoid the serious repercussions of, well, a slow effect. Look, animations slow things down, okay?
Aside from Tela's role as a grind enabler, Tela is one of the best support mages in the game, especially early game, because he comes with a few key spells such as Cure 2 and Blink right off the gate, and Blink nullifies 2 hits from any physical damage, which is really nice, as we can see right here.
He also comes with the Stop spell, which could be very important. No, not the Stop spell from Dragon Warrior, the spell Stop.
And Exit, don't forget.
Exit Mage does go and come with Exit.
So with Tela, one of the common plays we keep seeing is that people do check West Hobbs, and since West Hobbs is so out of the way, it can have some pretty decent equipment. Case in point, a Strength Ring.
That's +5 strength for Kane, which is pretty helpful, as every 8 strength gives an attack multiplier, which is a very nice thing to go and pick up. You just love to go and hit those attack multipliers, and we're seeing that profcory is going and using the dancing dagger as an item. Does about half as much damage as Herewaard's jumps with the assassin dagger were. So, going to be about the same on time for taking down this paladin, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Even if what Yang needs is levels to unleash his full damage potential, Yang's attack algorithm also benefits from strength multipliers. So if you pump Yang full of strength equipment, even he will contribute somewhat decently in the early game.
Yes, Yang's a classic monk. He goes and gains extra damage per level. His level is actually a factor of his damage. And he also gets dual wield because he can wield a claw in both hands. With strength, you get 1 multiplier every 8 strength, but every 4 strength you get +1 attack power for each weapon. Everyone except for Yang and Edge only have 1 weapon. Yang and Edge having 2 means that they get double the effect of that strength. And speaking of strength, Herewaard showing off how strong Yang is with a fire claw, taking out elements in 1 shot and getting a hook for that.
Hook is very nice in this flag set that has C maybe and no dupes, because it means it's a new character spot and you usually desperately need distinct characters in this flag set. What you don't want to see is no magma key in the rest of the overworld, which is a very distinct possibility.
Yeah, the lack of a magma key means we have to go through Upper Babel to get underground, and if we go through Upper Babel, we actually have to take some rather hard fights. There are 2 paths underground. The first is to get the magma key, chuck it in a well, and boom goes the mountain. You've got a way underground. The second and less popular way underground is the hook route, where you go and get the hook to lift up the Dempsey hovercraft that Herewaard is unlocking now, pick it up with an airship, carry it to the Eblin Shoals, drive into the Eblin Cave, walk through Upper Babel, and go and fight 2 mid-30 level bosses with your team that is probably scraping level 20 at best.
It's like that pair of bosses is like way later in the game than the levels you get in for Enterprise in the overworld.
Yeah, you are intended to go and complete much more of the game, as there are 3 dungeons in the overworld that are mostly locked off. The Magnetic Cave. Sealed Cave is underground. The Tower of Zot and Castle Baron are all expected to be completed before you even get underground, and even then, you're expected to go through the fights at Dwarf Castle, walk your way to the Tower of the lower entrance to Babel, and go all the way through that tower up and down because no one can go and warp or exit out of that place. So you usually have much more experience before you get to the point where you're going into Upper Babel in this Eblin Cave area.
So while the runners may recoil at the thought of doing a hook seed, well, the audience tends to absolutely love it, because the Kingpin Eblin, which is a spot that in the vanilla game does not throw a single punch, has an absurdly high physical power stat. And the Rubicon spot is just like really strong, just has high HP and just like really powerful. And if they don't find a magma key at Baron Inn or Deals or any chains coming from those, they will have to go through the hook.
Yes, that is something that they're going to be keeping an eye out for. But here we're going and stopping in the shop to go and purchase an Ograk for Kain. That is one of the best weapons that you can find in overworld shops for Kain. Gungnir is a bit stronger. Ice Brands or Ice Spears can go and be pretty helpful as well, but the Ogre-Axe is very good, and it's very good at killing Ogre-type enemies, which there's a number of trap chests here that we would take for experience.
That's a dupe, Kain. That's not what you want to see.
As Alchemy has mentioned, no dupes are on, which means if you find a duplicate character, congratulations, you get absolutely nothing.
But as Spirally mentions in chat, the Herewaard opened one chest in the Eblin Cave, and it had a rune axe, which is kind of funny.
Rune axe is... I love having both a rune axe and an ogre axe. I prefer the ogre axe over the rune axe, even though the rune axe has higher attack power, because rune axe also has lower accuracy. So unless you want to go and pick some questionable options for your party placement, you usually want to have your Rune Axe user in the middle, and because the middle slot will give an accuracy bonus to increase their damage and make it more consistent. Ogre Axe is more accurate. It still benefits from that middle slot, and more to the point, it's one-handed, so you can still use a shield.
So we get to see a glimpse of the boss that's waiting for our racers at the bottom of Upper Babel, and that is Leviathan, which at the recon spot is actually pretty mean.
And it is, but Leviathan does two things. He casts Wave, and he casts Ice 2. And Ice 2, that's a reflectable spell. If you have a source of wall, you can go and reflect that, get Leviathan in doing some chip damage to himself, and more to the point, keep your party safe for the most part.
Do you know who learns wall?
Well, I believe Rosa learns at level 30, or Menchie, I think it's even 40 something. But
no. Tella does learn wall too, and he doesn't need a single level.
That's right, but we do need to complete our deals for Tella to learn that wall spell, because Tella learns most spells in the game after completing ordeals. He does not learn the very big hard-hitting spells, but he does learn things like Stone, Haste, Berserk, Wall, and all the tier 3 and 4 healing and elemental damage spells, so very helpful to have.
And you know, he can also cast a big Lightning 3 spell at Leviathan for massive damage.
Very true, because Lit 3 is a high multiplier spell. If you can go and give your Tella some extra oomph with that spell casting, you can go and get some pretty big damage out of that.
Tella may only have 90 MP, but he will damn well use every single one of them, let me tell you.
It's a very muddy 90 MP.
Yes, it always seems to last more than he actually lasts.
It's I mean, being able to go and cast those high tier spells far earlier than you're expected is a very big boon.
Level 2 spells, and let alone level 3 spells, completely wreck the entire overworld. Wow.
Speaking of wrecking things, Herewaard found the Magus Sisters. Guess who's probably equipping a Rune Axe right now?
You bet.
Actually, the Rune Axe may be slight overkill, because I don't know if Herewaard has backrow lets Kane, which could cause him to miss more than anything. But Rune Axe will do bonus damage to mages.
Yeah, which would you imagine the Magus Sister are mage type enemies, so they will get absolutely destroyed by the Rune Axe. As also shown,
this spot has about a total of 400 HP. Oh, look, Charm. Hopefully that Rune Axe doesn't destroy other parts of the party.
He hit himself, thankfully.
Thankfully he hit the armored person, not the unarmored person.
Just waiting for us. Oh, that's one of the nicer punchy bosses you can find here.
Is and it isn't, because we have one character alive and he just went down.
Yup. This spot punches really hard as shown, but the good thing about Octomammoth is that the more you hit Octomammoth, the slower it gets as it loses tentacles. So as long as you can keep up the offensive, it will eventually slow down enough that you can like get yourself back up after any hit, but you have to get there first.
Yeah, it's definitely a very front-loaded fight where you need to go and be able to start strong, which is a little difficult after the Magus Sisters take out Tella and Kane is not very close to, or almost dead to be entirely honest, after taking just one hit. And Herewaard did not go into that fight fully healed, so also making things tricky.
Thankfully, they will have a bit of a break as the monsters attacking Fabul Castle are just 3 Dark Imps. That's nice.
Yep, 3 Dark Imps, another free boss, and by that definition, because they do not have the boss bit, they can be affected by a variety of status spells, including Stone, Stop, Frog, Mini, Instant Death.
We will see what the King of Fabul has in store for us today. Hopefully another character. We can only hope.
Other characters. We're fine. We got Kane, we got Tella. It'll be fine. Pass. See, that's a way to Zeromus. We can, well, we can say hi to Zeromus now if you want. We can walk up, say hi, and he'll challenge us to a fight where we have to use the crystal to turn him into an actual enemy. And we're not going to get that for a minute because we still have to complete 4 objectives. And yeah, scorecard says 0, all right? So we're pretty far away from that.
How mean is giving you a pass early game in a seed where one of the 5 objectives is just doing the crystal for the altar? How mean is that?
It's one of those things I actually find pretty interesting because it means that you're less scared of going to that moon early to go and clear it out. Because if you clear a bunch of the earth and see I've got no objectives, but I got a darkness crystal, you don't want to go through the moon without just anything because, oh, if I have to walk down to the bottom of the moon and there's a pass on Earth, I also have to walk, and I miss it, I have to walk back through the lunar subterranean. By having it in hand, you can clean out the lunar subterranean, come back to Earth, take care of anything remaining, and you have a fast way to Zeromus on Earth.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a passing hand, and unless there's some other circumstances, like you only need one key item from go mode or something like that, you want to completely sweep the moon, so you never have to set foot on the moon ever again, pretty much.
Unless you're feeling gambling and see, okay, I've got some chains here, or you go and find go mode on the moon itself and just need to return for the turn in.
Both runners converging in ordeals, and wow, we have a vanilla fight? Question mark.
We have a vanilla fight. No question about it.
He just like straight up using a Boreas. Honestly, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, though, I would be a little concerned about using too many G items, as one of the things about the Sea Hero flag is that, well, one, your hero is never allowed to leave your party. He or she cannot be dismissed. 2, they will always gain experience even if they're dead at the end of the fight. That's because 3, they're your agility anchor, which is what the ATB focus or gets ATB calculations based off of. And 4, he has to go into the Zeromus, not Zeromus fight alone. That would be a bit too mean. The Ordeals fight alone.
The Ordeals mirror fight is not a very bad fight, but when you are alone in that scenario at low levels with low equipment power, which in the case of John means no equipment because only strength multipliers do anything and barely twist damage. Depending on the boss you find there, it can be real nasty. So having a G enemy hand to just like deal like 500 to 700 damage in one go, it's just like a lifesaver for many characters, including John.
Yeah, and speaking of bosses there, you have to find somewhere. D-Mist. Very annoying boss. Punches 3 times, turns into mist. If you punch it while it's mist, it goes in counterattacks. Long animation. Takes forever if it does that. But if we kill this boss and go back to mist, we'll find Viridia's mother there waiting for us with a key item. We refer to this as the bonus round.
It is a bonus round because you were going to do this anyway.
Yep, it is always nice to find D-Mist early in a spot that you wanted to do anyways, because if it's telling your party, it's really hard to justify not doing ordeals. It would need to be something completely and utterly awful and dreadful up here to say, no, we're coming back to this later and or never.
It could be any number of mean spots, like the Leviathan spot, which punches really hard, CPU, which punches really hard, Bahamut, which punches really hard, Tinker, which punches really hard. You see a pattern here.
Some of those spots are also pretty far out of the way, because CPU, you have to go through another boss fight to find it, and if this D-Mist has one of your objectives, you're probably hoping to go and get to your objective some other way, and if D-Mist is leading to 2 objectives, you're cursing the name of the person who rolled the seed, because you are not checking that CPU spot very soon, unless you are in a desperate gamble.
Thankfully, in this spot, the D-Mist pretty much behaves, so it's only a matter of when, not if.
But when in a race is pretty hard to go and not be afraid of, because you got some stuff in the inventory, you got that Boreas, do you really need it? Can you just burn it to go and get through maybe this D-Mist a little bit faster, skip one of these mist phases? That's a question that weighs on runners' minds, as you see Yang doing 176 damage, Kane doing a few hundred, and just, not 700, Kane's doing good damage and is through this D-Mist fight profcory the first through and getting be able to see the ordeals fight.
We can only hope this is like Earth Crystal for 2 characters, or maybe even Baron. I don't know. Hopefully something to have an easier time down that hook route.
If it's an Earth Crystal, that is an objective, so I don't think either of our runners would be terribly upset about that, because they just simply need to run to Toria and open a door. Don't even need to complete the dungeon to start going and getting advantage from that.
Absolutely, but you still do want those characters for sure.
It would be nice to go and have a viable combat character behind Kane. Also, Herewaard right behind profcory getting through that Demist fight.
And the reward is
A pan. That
well,
is
it's gonna be nice when we get underground.
Yep. And the turtle is going to be interesting because we still have this Boreas. Turtle takes bonus damage from ice until he starts gathering a wave. Then he takes bonus damage from lightning, and profcory's not waiting because he's afraid of the turtle. He's waiting to make sure he punches and the turtle rides the lightning.
Interesting. I guess profcory doesn't have an ice claw to deal extra damage, so waiting for the wave to be up was an excellent strategy, dealing double damage with like lightning claws.
Yep, getting through the fight in 3 hits, and profcory's going to be out of this chamber just as Herewaard is coming into it. Need to go and remember to hit that Demist though, as it's very easy to forget to check Demist right after you go and get another key item like that pan, where you're thinking, okay, and I've got more things pointing me underground. And forget that Demist is out there going in saying, I got a key item for you. Do you want to pick it up? Yes? No? Okay, well, later.
A lot of like expert top racers and runners of this game have absolutely forgotten a Demist, waiting for them with a shiny important key item. It has happened to me. It could happen to you. Trust me, no one is safe.
Are you implying that I've forgotten to go and check a Demist who had the other half of Forge at some point in my career when I needed to do Forge as an objective? Because you are in fact correct. I've done that multiple times.
I was not implying it, but I'm glad you confirmed my statement.
profcory, however, choosing not to fall into that trap today, very diligently checking the Mist boss and then very likely going straight into Mist.
Remember, folks, we still have one boss hunt.
And it's not Mom Bomb. Wyvern remains at large.
That is the nicest spot to find Mom Bomb by large. That is so nice.
To be entirely honest, I don't mind finding Mom Bomb on the moon because Mom Bomb is annoying because Mom Bomb gets an extra 9,000 HP no matter what spot they're in. However, on the moon, when things already have 40,000 HP, you're used to doing just, thousands of damage quickly already, so you can chew through that extra 9,000 HP and skip half the fight.
So that's a Twin Harp. Twin Harp allows us to go to Troya and then tackle the boss at the Cave Magnus, which is a bit of a tall order if you don't have strong physical fighters, because the boss there has absurdly high magic defense.
That is correct, but we do have Kane, who has some decent way. Gungnir Spear is a good weapon that both our runners have picked up. And Tella does have the Berserk spell, which really helps your physical fighters do even more damage.
An early Twin Harp could be a gamble, for sure.
Harp in general is a bit of a gamble just because of how long that animation takes. Just go in there, watch the cutscene, hear some music, watch some more cutscenes, start the fight, go and finish the fight, and have to exit that place.
Oh, absolutely masterful use of Blizzard, which is an HP-based item that takes the current HP and divides it by 2 roughly to deal ice-based damage, and just like painlessly clears the Magus Sisters. Very nice.
Yep, and giving up a Lit 3 with Tella, just going to go and chip down Octomam with the melee fighters, knock off some of those tentacles, get the Octomam sling hit less hard and less fast, and Lit 3 comes out, probably killing this instantly. It kills it instantly.
That was an incredibly clean banging, absolutely flawless. You love to see it.
It was a very nice one, and hey, here's something we absolutely love to see. It's a Darkness Crystal. Do you
What
like
if
D machine grinds? Because we're
what
probably
if
going to see one.
what if you go moon and find the magma key up in the moon?
I mean, with your setup right now, you've got the option to go and D machine grind this team up to something. It's not a full team though, so that would be the biggest mark against it. If Rose is on the moon, I can see a very strong argument to grind up levels, go to the moon, go to the Crystal Sword altar, and try and clear that to go and pull an Earth Crystal.
Let us remember that Bria's in the party now, and Leviathan, the newly tired up Tier 5 summon, is incredibly powerful, and Bria can make good use of it, and it's free available at the Evelyn Cave Shop.
You know what else Riddick can make good use of? 1 million experience from D machines to cast Nuke. And with the Slingshot flag on, if you have 5 characters, you can get double experience to cut that down to just need to get 500,000 experience.
And let me tell you, Bria's CXP curve is something. She needs every single experience point to make her compete with the other mages at Zeromus levels.
Yeah, Paladin gets Nuke at level 52, which makes you think, oh, he needs even more experience. No, he only needs 900,000 because Rydia is apparently dual classing as Summoner Black Mage, and that goes and really hurts the EXP curve real hard. So she's 2 levels lower than a character with 100,000 less experience.
You got to balance. It's
Yes.
how it is.
Yes, you can summon Dragon God. That every boss on the moon after you go and get it is going to say, "Hi, let me counter that." What? Oh yeah, Paladin counters summons with Quake. Okay, excuse me. Plague does not go and counter summon spells. Plague just has a count of 10, and you're very likely to go and struggle to get more than one Bahamut off in that fight. But Paladin counters summons with Quake. Wyvern counters, or the D-Lunars counter summons with Remedy, healing 10% of their HP. Not the damage dealt, just 10% of their total HP. Ogopogo counters with Blaze, which is 25% of your party's max HP as ice damage. Wyvern counters Rydia summons with Mega Nuke. That, if you're playing this game casually, you've probably opened the party and did 3,000 damage to everyone in your party. The moon does not like you using Bahamut on the bosses at all.
Profcory has a special place in my heart for opening Cape Bahamut chest and finding some really nice strength gear in the process.
I definitely respect that, and I also respect going and checking these boss, because if this is Wyvern, it's not. But if that was Wyvern, you would go and have information as to where 2 objectives are, and that gets me a lot more interested in going for a D machine grind early, because I will really want to go and push the moon to see if I can get the last objective up there.
I was also hoping that was a Wyvern for like a really jetty suit for sure. Plague is not that bad in that spot. That spot is pretty fast, but Plague does not punch. That spot, Bahamut is tied for the highest physical attack in the entire game, so we are very glad that Plague does not punch.
It's a pretty helpful thing to go and have to deal with, as is having a Palom. You have 2 Black Mages at base level with a party that is more than 5 levels above the starting level, if I'm not mistaken. So, I have visions of what everyone's thinking.
Life, potions, and cure 3s at Kaipo. Jang is a chemist. You just DPS the heck out of Zeromus with 2 Black Mages and King.
With 2 Black Mages, I don't even care about the cure 3s. 2 Black Mages, I can kill Zeromus with just Nuke.
For sure. Like, that's the picture this seed is painting for me right now.
There's a lot of things that go and are a bit scary, but 2 Black Mages with Nuke really go and cut down that list. That said, Val terrifies me. But Kain is in the party to go and mitigate that, so...
Sometimes, in some rare occasions, you do not want Valvalis to get out of the tornado, because when Kain jumps on Valvalis and she gets removed from her tornado form, she throws a mean punch. Depending on where she is, that can really hurt.
Very much so.
But with 2 mages, especially one that can cast Blink on your party, Valvalis is not as threatening with Kain, for sure.
Yeah, her punches might hurt, but Nuke hurts more. Nuke really goes and fries Valvel's hair. She does not like that. Have you smelled burnt hair? Because that's most of what Val is after you cast Nuke.
Oh boy, this seed is really opening up, but at the same time, it's just like the hook route is it's just beckoning them. Sorry, it's like I'm still here. This is your only way on the ground.
We still have the Twin Harp we haven't checked. That is one out for a potential Magma Key, and with the D Machine grind on the table, I am not the slightest bit surprised if our runners say, okay, we're going to go and take some D Machines. We're going to go and slingshot 2 characters, only need to get 500,000 experience to turn them in from small children who need to go and be nurtured and raised carefully to complete and utter avatars of destruction who will fry everything in their path.
So, profcory, seemingly in a whim, Surge entered the item shop at a guard, even though he does not have the magma key. He found what he was looking for, Ether 2s.
Yep, those Ether 2s, they will go and pretty much guaranteed fully restore Tella's MP, and with Tella's MP, you really like fully restoring it because every 25 NP is a D machine you can kill. And every D machine you can kill is more experience you can get on your party.
So it was easy to see profcory throwing everything wholesale to get a nice big stack of Ether 2s. We're gonna be here a while, folks, so get ready.
Yep. 4 Ether 2s is enough to go and cast Weak a total of 12 times. 12 is the magic number to go and take Iridia from level 1 to level 50 with a double slingshot bonus. So that is just enough to go and refill it and tell his MP completely. He can cast multiple weeks on enemies to go and get the initial searchers beamers down, because this fight, it is one formation. You will always have it. It is going to be 2 beamers and 1 alert. You will need to kill 2 beamers in order to start this grind, and then you'll start pumping, hitting the alert, pumping a little bit of damage into it, but not too much so it actually dies. To summon D machines that you will cast weak on with Tella, then hit with another party member, and you would try and throw life potions, but we turned that off, so only going to be able to go and just grind up those summons.
So the D machine, you might be used to seeing it like fairly clean. Oh, hold on. profcory is checking elements. Ooh.
profcory was hoping
okay. Ooh.
That's a boss, but that is not a free enough boss, I think.
It's free-ish. It's free adjacent, but it has 24k HP split across the entire of its 3 fights.
I'd be surprised if it's only 24k HP. That's
actually, that's just the cap that the game handles, but it's probably way higher because of the elements refill script. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's profcory is okay, so profcory is looking at a step counter to go and let him know where he is in a encounter seed, and is working to run away. And profcory safely gets away from the second fight. These fights are dangerous because the enemies are very fast and his party is not.
You may be used to seeing D machines be a really clean and like clinical process where the research is like down dragon after dragon, but the thing is, D machines need a setup, and it needs you to do things in a very correct order and to be on top of your game to keep Tella's MP up and healing people, because the D machines will throw it up blaze, which is a 10%, I believe, HP based attack. So you just need to be constantly on top of your game for like a pretty long time, just like consistently doing this grind without messing up, because if it goes south fast, and you do not want to sit here for 15 minutes and then lose all that progress. That's like soul crushing.
Yes, and another thing that is a little concerning is so weak is not a guaranteed to hit spell. You will need to go and worry about missing unless you go and boost up Tella's accuracy up to about 40. However, if you put Tella in the center slot like Herewaard has, Tella is unlikely to go and miss any weak cast, because the center slot has a 20% accuracy boost.
That is pretty scary. especially if you have a white mage in your party, that's like maybe a red. Like even Cure 2 might, with some will, boosting gear, might get you some leeway. But without a white mage, if Tela misses a weak spell and the machine keeps throwing out fire moves and depleting your party's HP, it can get dicey real fast.
That is very correct. Anytime that a D machine is out there freely spitting fire is a very scary time indeed.
Herewaard not throwing caution to the wind and putting Tela in the middle because he's aware of this tiny quirk of vanilla Final Fantasy IV of the accuracy bonus in the middle slot.
Yep, that is. It's a very important thing to go and have. It is something that's easy to overlook, but there's the first week coming up for profcory, and it looks like Herewaard is going and choosing to cast Fast on Tela. Fast will go and last the entire fight and increase Tela's Tela's ATB, so he is more. It's better able to get a preferred turn order.
That is very interesting. I really like to see it. Fast can stack up to 2 times too.
Yes, it can take you from what is it, 9-6? I can't remember. It is a very specific thing that it's not like it doubles your speed. It goes and gives you a noticeable, but not as noticeable as slow multiplier. Where slow, it will go and just double the time it takes between your turns to get maximum stack. Where if it takes 5 ticks of the ATB, it will take 10 ticks for the ATB for you to get a turn.
Yep. You might have noticed that Tela put Blink on itself. This is because if you punch the machine, it will counter with another punch. Which, guess what? Hurts like hell. Like, it will quite possibly down every single of our party members. Pretty much, I believe. Unless Fang gets lucky with accuracy.
You are not going and standing up to a D machine punch. They hurt. They hurt a lot.
In order to keep a bit of a safety measure on the grind, Tela has a blink up, so he can get a punch, 2 punches in fact, for free, giving a bit of a leeway just in case.
Yep, and because it'll only happen if a physical attack, if you physically attack a D machine and it doesn't kill it, you need to go and worry about it. So anytime it does kill, no need to worry about it. And Blink also lasts forever until the end of the fight or until the 2 charges are consumed.
Absolutely. You might even want some extra ethers than just the minimum required, because with the way those placers are coming out, you might want Tela to not click just once and just instead of do a party heal, just to keep everyone comfortable. Sometimes.
Yeah, that is going to be hard for profcory because profcory only bought the 4 Ether 2s, which is... there is a small margin for extra healing in that.
Absolutely. There are legendary setups of the machines where you can get such a good agility situation that you can defeat the D machines even before the place comes out. But that's very rare. Hard and C-Hero really messes that up.
It's something... the vanilla speedrun is based around that, where you go and get summons, Fusoya goes and casts weak, and I believe Edge kills. So it is definitely something that's been very well studied in the vanilla speedrun, but is less studied in the Balance of Free Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. So now that both our runners are doing honestly what the Sid wants them to do, which is the machine at this point, I would like to take this point to shout out the Restream team for putting up such an incredible show. Around with the Restream, Unstoppable Force pushing all those buttons, and also very dear and near to my heart, Colin Balnatsi, Gatai Robo, thank you very much. And of course, the wonderful partner in comms and crime, Becca Shinobi.
Thank you very much as well for joining me, Alchemy. We couldn't go and put on a show without someone else with comms, and it's a pleasure to go and do comms with you.
Thank you. And of course, without the racers and you, the viewer.
And to everyone joining us now, Early Darkness Crystal, early Tella, and we have 2 moon objectives between Kefahama and the Vanilla Crystal Sword Altar. Also, we have a hook route. It's just Leviathan there, but you know, you finish Baron in, you get a Darkness Crystal and Iridia for it, you go up to the moon, you get a Palom for it, you already have levels on Kane, Young, and Tella. What are you supposed to do?
You could try and go down underground, but you know.
Who wants to go and play fair?
Good luck with that, huh?
I'm sure it can do it. Tella with Lit 3 will definitely do a lot of damage. Ether 2s are available for sale. You can go and restock MP pretty easily, but it might not be the fastest course of action because 12 D machines later, you are going to have 2 nuclear-powered children ready to go and microwave the world. Or the moon. Probably the moon.
What I'm really interested about is which one of these racers, if any, is going to just stay on the moon. It's just like going to do D machines, it's just going to go to the moon, it's just going to forget about the underground. It's just going to completely sweep the moon, and then we'll worry about the underground later.
I would not be surprised to see that at all. Profcory in a little bit of a bind as that D machine got an extra fire off and started killing off more people, but does have life potions to go and bring people up, and is going to go and be doing that with those life potions.
As long as you have life potions and curatives and ethers, you can recover, well, as long as the D machine is dead. So
Yes.
that's fine. As long as you have the resources, you can keep this grind going while the D machine is not alive. But once again, this fight can go south really hard. I mean, really easily.
Not to mention, Profcory has limited ethers, which that's going to hurt a bit. Tella does have the option of stealing Palom's MP to go and recover a bit extra, though. So that can be used to go and put things back and stave off some of that resource scarcity.
Yeah, but the base level Palom and a base level Rydia are not the higher sources of MP, let's just say that.
Palom has 50 MP, that's 2 weak casts.
Okay, fair. Fair.
And Rydia, we just don't even acknowledge. To be fair, Rydia comes in at level 1 and has 10 MP.
Yeah. Gameplay, narrative, storytelling. That's the way FF4 likes it.
Rydia is really not prepared. Rydia was not really going and training for that whole martial combat life and whatnot, and unfortunately did not get the option to decline it. Just, you know, let's just say her story is not the, she does not get the long end of the stick. She gets the very short end of the stick from how things go in, the first 15 minutes of Final Fantasy IV.
Did you know that you can play the vanilla game with clickable encounters and a dash button that made a wonderful quality of life patch made by a wonderful developer and head honcho of Free Enterprise board phase? You can do that right now even. I would rather you watch the raise, but that is a thing you can do.
Okay, Profcory has 2 stacks of 4 ethers. That is, that's very helpful. That dramatically alleviates concerns because Profcory has been using Thor Rages to summon searchers and keep count. You start with 10 Thor Rages, and we've got 2 left in the inventory. That means after those 2 are spent, we'll have summoned 10 D machines, and we'll want to summon 2 more for Profcory.
So that's really nice to see. That means that as long as he has those ethers and Tella is not dead, and the D machine goes down. I know another weak miss. Ooh, that middle slot really hurting. And now, oof. That's why you put Blink on Tella.
Yes, that is.
Put Blink on Tella.
That is a real big reason to go and say yes. I need to put Blinks on Tella, and people are going down, and this is getting very, very scary.
Oh no, Profcory, please.
Oh, and Profcory is in a very dangerous situation because, yep, that. The weak miss, Tella was slow, the D machine got a lot of fires, and Profcory didn't have a lot of healing items that he could swing. When you queue up to use a healing item, or use any item in the game, there is a certain window where you will consume the item, but you'll be waiting to get the effect. And if the character who's going to throw the item dies, you still lose the item, which is what happened to profcory's Here 3.
That's such a shame. That's gonna put profcory right behind Herewaard, unless Herewaard also vibes in this fight. But his setup seems much more cleaner.
Yes, that is very unfortunate. It is crushing. It is not something you really want to go through in this.
I risked the qualifiers and I wiped 2 missions twice. Once at the start and another one at the middle. At the start was because Stella was not in the middle, and in the middle of the fight was because, hey, guess what? If you keep doing weeks with Tella and you forget to give him a P, when the turn comes back around for Tella to weak the machine, he doesn't have a P. And that's really dangerous.
Yep. Done that one plenty myself.
So that is profcory probably already realized that Tella wasn't in the middle, like pretty early into the machine fight, but getting the machine counter takes a little bit of luck. It is still like a step chart setup, but sometimes you get the fight really quickly, or sometimes it takes a long time, and he took a little while. So I'm sure he just decided to stick with it, and sadly that decision probably bit him later on.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a risk every time, just because. See here, so one of the things that is easy to overlook is that agility setups can be very beneficial to you if you have things you can stack in your favor, and one of the big tools of stacking things in your favor is a curse ring, which neither of our runner has. And if you're wondering why a ring that gives -15 to all of your stats is something that makes you better, let's talk about agility for a hot moment. One of the things that we are aiming to do with this C hero flag is make it so that agility is less of a solved problem, because, well, what you usually do in other seeds is, well, I have a 5-character party. Correction, I have a 4-character party and a curse ring bearer, or a Rydia who is going to be constantly napping like profcory's is. If you have a low enough agility anchor, which is the center slot character in most flags, that lets you go and adjust the number that the HP calculation is based on, because it's based on your center slot character. And if that number is low enough, you can go and make it so that everyone is as fast as possible, because there's a speed cap in the game. You can only be 5 times faster than the agility anchor, and if that's a really low number, it's really easy to go and hit that maximum speed. That is very beneficial and turns bosses like Zeromus, who have incredibly high agility values of 69, and make your much more meager 28s and 30s just as good.
So, and the thing with C hero is that, well, that's no longer an option. So the hero, which is the starting character in the seed, is now the agility anchor. That means that all agility calculations in the fight are going to be looking at him or her. So that means that some characters have really uncomfortable agility values. Jiang, for example, is a little slow. He kind of gets there in late levels, but not quite sometimes. Some other characters are abysmal, like Edge is incredibly fast, so it makes everyone else in the party super slow, stuff like that. So we need that curse ring. Curse ring is a tier 4 item, which means it can be in literally any armored shop in the game. Surprised some runners haven't checked those, but also if you have a ninja hat and some levels on Jiang, he can push some agility thresholds on Zeromus to make Zeromus a very manageable agility. But that's for later. Right now, Herewaard has finished the D-Machine grind, has found like a 1.3 million EXP for his Murder Children, and has taken the chance to get even more EXP by challenging the vanilla element spot.
Yeah, remember how we were talking about that CPU fight, which is one of the more annoying spots for Demas to go and hide? Well, that's also a place where Wyvern can hide, and if you go and take out this elements fight, you finally get access to that CPU spot, and it's real scary to come into the Giant, get a bunch of levels, and say, yeah, I'm just going to leave it. If there's a wyvern here, I can take care of it another time, or I can go and do the other objectives when you're here with a very, very well-leveled endgame party saying, yeah, let's go and just blow everything up in front of us.
You could do that, or you could. This is a bit of a gamble, for sure, because if Wyvern is not at CPU, you have in quotations wasted time. I mean, not really, because the giant is a line, so it will make the rest of the city being easier. But still, if Wyvern is there, it will be such a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and here we're just through the first phase of the fight, into the second. But another thing with the Elements fight, it's really fast. I think it's even faster than Zeromus, if I'm not mistaken. So you are not terribly inclined to take this fight against mean things.
Zeromus is 69 HP and Element is 89.
Yep. I thought it was 89, but I figured, is it really that high? Yes, it is that high. This is an incredibly high agility spot, and it's, well, normally it's a cap on HP called 61,000, which any boss here can't go over that. But Luke, because he's split into so many different parts, can have a combined total more than 61,000. Also, hey, look, laser, that's a lot of damage. I do believe that's 10% of the boss's current HP total, so only 40,000 damage left to go. I'm sure it's just going to fly through.
So the thing about the element spot is that in the vanilla game, it's actually two monsters slapped into one, made so the player doesn't notice. And one boss has 40,000 HP, and the other boss has 47,000 HP. This is done to get around the hard cap dictated by Super Nintendo programming of the aforementioned 61 HP. This is great for single target bosses because they just get HP capped. That's all you can do. This is a console. This is a Super Nintendo game. But for multi-target bosses and split fights, well, you saw it. It just took a million years, and that was a highly powered party. Imagine if that was a low-powered party.
Yeah, that's not something you want to go and do. That is much less free adjacent than it originally appears.
Like, sure, it's like kind of free. That's what doesn't have high magic power nor physical power in the grand scheme of things. But oh boy, it's just gonna take 1 hour and a half.
Yep, but we see that Wyvern is not here at the CPU spot. We see two guards who are punching kind of hard. And are we going to go and see? We're seeing that Tella is going down, and the party is not standing up very well against this.
So CPU is absurdly fast, like disgustingly fast, and also is tied for the highest physical attack in the game. CPU in this spot, like CPU as a base boss, does not do a single physical attack. So who knows why? There are many theories, but CPU's physical power is the highest, and
yeah,
these guys punch really hard and really fast. That's all they do, but that's all they have to do.
Yeah, they punch and punch and punch and punch and punch.
So the nice thing is that that boss is free. If you can get stone cast in the middle, you can defeat it, you can mini them, you can tote them, you can instant kill them, you can do many things. But said character needs to get a turn.
Yep, and Herewaard also remembered that Tella's not the only one who has stone anymore.
Thankfully.
Oh. 2 HP in a dream, and it is not a realized dream as Rydia whiffs the stone.
No, Rydia, no.
Oh, that hurts.
Rydia, you were the chosen one. How could you do this?
Here we're saying goodbye. So long, farewell. Let's. We don't need to kill you. You're not fast enough. Let's just leave.
Thing is, I mean, this is a character spot, but at this point, you don't even care. You have the levels.
Yeah, I can see the argument for I can check the character. I can pick whoever the new character is, because if it's someone like Rosa or Cecil or Edge, all right, I've got a new character. I chuck them in my party over Tella, and I just clear the seed, and for the entire time, they're probably getting double experience because I'm in the mid 40s, and they're going to come at most level 25.
So the the flag that we like to refer as like slingshot is the EXP bonus flag. And what that does is that if a character is a certain amount of levels below the party median, they get a double EXP bonus. We use that to our advantage in the D machine, for example, to slingshot a character from behind the pack to ahead of the pack. But even without slingshotting, even without that technique, it's a catch-up mechanic for new characters to get a like level party with the rest of the party. So even if you found a mystical, magical, wonderful Cecil, a Rosa, an Edge, they will eventually catch up. We still have a lot of seed to clear. We haven't done a single objective. They will eventually catch up for sure.
Yeah, and it looks like Herewaard is choosing to go and change that. We haven't done a single objective thing. Hour in almost, and Herewaard's deciding, all right, here we are. Let's go cast some. Let's take on this plague at Bahamut.
Is Herewaard going to stay on the moon? I'm dying to know. I'm like, ugh.
Again, I would be sorely tempted to go and do that because you got all right. So the Cave Bahamut is not going to give a key item. The Cave Summon is out of the pools Alchemy mentioned earlier, and Cave Bahamut is a Cave Summon spot, but it's an objective. You complete it. However, I would be tempted to go and dive in the lunar subterranean to go down to that Crystal Sword altar, which is a spot where a key item can be. And you know that you want to do that spot already. You have the pass. If you get the Earth Crystal or part of Forge from there, you are in a very nice position. If you get a Magma Key from there, you are in a very interesting position because you can bypass the underground. And you'll know that Wyvern can't be at the King Queen Evelyn spot because the Magma Key, which is the other way underground, cannot be logically gating the underground path if it's on the moon. So, and because that hook route is then the logical path, it means the Wyvern fight cannot be on the hook route at all.
So the thing is, as stated at the start of the seed, because the starting item was an assassin dagger and not a key item, we know that there's at least one key item on the moon, quite possibly more.
Yep.
So we know the moon has value, it has an objective, and we know it has a key item. Are you going to risk it and try to hope the moon isn't haunted in the sense of the key item wise, or are you just going down with your new power? That's a really interesting. That's the crux of the seed right there.
Yeah. The scariest line to have is that the Magma Key is at Twin Harp and Wyvern is on the hook route. Because then you're going to be drifting away from an objective and you just need to go through a whole bunch of key item spots to try and find just some way out. And speaking of a way out, profcory looks to be on his way out of the giant because he has gone and finished his D machine grind and has nuke on both kids.
The good thing about this is that Herewaard took 2 whites and did Professor Luke, which was a really long fight. If profcory doesn't do any of that, he's kind of made up time. Yeah, he's leaving.
Yeah, profcory is all right. D machines. I know it's Luga there. I don't need to know who the second boss is. I just have to hope that it's not Wyvern, and I'm going.
Yep, that's gonna be nice for profcory because that means that he's going to be less punished for that earlier D machine vibe. So we still got a race, folks. Don't tune out.
Yep. Primarily, profcory is behind the plague fight at Cave Bahamut, which profcory might be able to make up some time on by the virtue of he can go and choose to do the lunar subterranean, get stuff out of there, and if, say, Wyvern and Forge just fall into it. Actually, if you can get 3 objectives in the moon and the lunar subterranean, you will do Cave Bahamut because unless you can drop a Magma Key in the well and go underground immediately, you would save time by just simply completing Cave Bahamut and never going underground the seed.
Herewaard is just going straight for the moon. It's going to go towards the lunar subterranean. Maybe even straight for the crystal altar. We don't know if he's going to clear the rest of the lunar subterranean. I think profcory is going to go ahead and clear Cave Bahamut too.
Not entirely surprising. You have nuke. Your mages are not really going to get much more powerful beyond this point, and maybe this Cave Bahamut can give you a Stardust Rod, which will make your mages much more powerful and much more capable of going and just burning through, just pumping out so much damage and burning through enemies.
I believe Plague gave a crystal ring, which is really useful because it gives a really hefty bonus to agility. Because hey, guess what? Turns out mages are kind of slow. So if your anchor, which is Yang in this case, thankfully Yang is not that fast, but if your anchor is decently fast, it might help them catch up.
Yep, and just being able to get more turns on your mages is very helpful. Definitely one of the things you want to go and try and do.
Yeah. So indeed, Herewaard is going straight for the crystal sword altar, just like ignoring the Muramasa altar. Interesting.
Yep. You know it's an
Not even
objective.
close. Yeah. Gotta get it out of the way. If it's something nasty, you get that information.
Wow, and it's free. King, Queen, Evelyn, the freest boss in the game.
I told you, cheeky Cave Bahamut and Crystal Sword Altar check.
That's true. The Plague Fight cannot go and directly hurt you. It only casts count. King, Queen, Evelyn, they try to hurt you, but they have the lowest magic power in the game out of just that's what their script is. And then they eventually say, well, this is pathetic, we're leaving.
So the thing is that you can reflect Plague's doom right back at Plague, and then Plague will get its doom count rang out, and Plague will eliminate itself. If you can pull this off, you can go straight for the Crystal Sword Altar and have King Queen Evelyn just go, actually, we're not feeling this, and they just leave. That's a thing that can happen. This is a thing that you could do in this seed, which is mind-boggling.
Can do and will do is something that is very different unless you have a spoiler log telling you.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. I just enjoy the hypotheticals.
That it is, and we do get a key item from the moon. It is a Luca key. That is a underground check of the sealed cave that I miscalled Cave Magnus earlier. But either way, Herewaard has 2 objectives on the board in an hour 3 almost. Just need some key items or a boss to show up, and Herewaard is in go mode almost.
Herewaard is going to clear the bottom of the lunar subterranean. That makes sense. Like, you have a passing hand, like mentioned earlier. You just go ahead and sweep the moon, and you never have to set foot in the moon ever again.
Yep, and it's about a 3-minute walk down here, so you really want to make the most of those 3 minutes walking down.
Yup. Listen, a few seconds can decide who wins and loses. These racers are the top of the top, the toppermost of the poppermost of the free enterprise community. Sometimes racers are absolutely decided by seconds. You want to save those 3 minutes, trust me.
Yeah, we've had at least one race so far that needed to be retimed to go and verify exactly which seconds, what the seconds were, because it got really tight.
So, the learners counter the fight command with some really nasty virus casts. So, guess what? We have 2 mages. Fight's over. Thank you.
We also have Yang. We have 3 mages, thank you. We have the Punch Mage Yang, who can use the power command to not be a physical attack, while being a physical attack that does twice as much damage as a normal physical attack. It just takes an extra turn.
And he's called a Punch Mage because Yang can exploit elemental weaknesses of the bosses, which the learners are weak to fire. Wow, 5k a pop. Nice work, Yang.
Yeah. And he's also called Punch Mage because, like mages, he doesn't get a lot out of equipment, but he gets a lot out of levels.
Calling King a jump mage is a bit of a stretch, but I'll buy that secret.
Well, it's Wizard how he gets to stay up there for so long. Hey, look, another key item. It's a Baron key.
So far, 2 key items on the moon. Nice.
Profcory diverging routes, going and choosing to take the top of the moon first before going down to the bottom. Finding evil wall. This is a fight. This is a fight that hurts quite a bit,
Oof.
and is kind of mean because one, every time you go and cast a spell on evil wall, it is going to counter with petrified. Two, it is going to do 2 things on its turn. The first is move. The second is punch. And because it's cheating, it goes and takes priority over any other action that's even ones that are queued.
Some like free enterprise scientists call that chains, but I don't buy it. That's just cheating.
Oh no, that is actually, in fact, if you look at the game script, it says start a chain, and that's when everyone else stops, and it's just Evil Wall's turn until the chain ends.
More like start cheating, am I right?
I mean, we cheat with Berserk at RA1, so I can't complain too much.
Okay, fair.
But I will complain a lot because it's, it's cheating. I don't like it when it goes and does my trick. That's my trick, thank you.
So this spot could be worse, but it's pretty mean. Meanwhile, Herewaard is fighting Asura, which can heal itself. But that's not much of a problem when you have the ultimate support caster Tella.
Yep, though Tella is casting Wall on himself first. It looks to be gearing up to go and reflect nukes onto Ashura.
Which is nice, because Asura's only means of damaging you is by doing counterattacks. But guess what? If you reflect a spell of a wall, it completely bypasses every single counter script in the game. That's just like a little trick, a little exploit.
Magma Key found.
There it is.
The hook route is the logical path underground. The Wyvern is not at King Queen Evelyn. It could still be at Twin Harp, because Twin Harp can be anything at the moment.
Yep. So, wow. If you just know the logic of the randomizer, you can get a read on a completely a completely unknown boss that you can just say, okay, this is not here, which is extremely valuable to these highly experienced racers.
Yeah, that is one several minute walk. You do not need to go and make the seed. Wyvern's not in the giant. The worst place Wyvern can be is the package or behind a long chain, such as, say, that Baron Key leads to... Actually, very few chains left open that aren't immediate value. There's Earth Crystal, Tower Key, and Rat Tail. The other key chain items have been found. So the worst you could do is something like Baron Key to Rat Tail to Tower Key to Earth Crystal, and Earth Crystal also has Zot, or it has Wyvern. Pankraz, Demus has been found. They are in the second spot of ordeals.
Bonus round. So the nice thing about this is that with the Magma Key, we can exchange the pen for 2 key items in a row.
Yep, we get to go in Bonkyong, which will give not a key item, but will give something nice. And then we can go to Sheila, and, well, we found the Earth Crystal. It's in the, that is in the Ribbon Room. So one more objective on the board for Herewaard. We are either a Wyvern appearance or a Adamant and Legend Sword, and I think the Wyvern is going to be easier to find.
That was also an Avenger for that nice king that's going to love that.
Yeah, that Avenger is a really good weapon because, it's really annoying casting Berserk on characters because it takes time, and Tella's the only person to do it, and Tella is kind of slow for this party. You know what Avenger does? Automatically puts Berserk on the person holding it.
It also gives some pretty nice stat bonuses in case, like it's one of Kane's best weapons straight up. He has something better, so what you can do is start the fight with a better weapon, swap to the Avenger, and the weapon stats will not be updated, but you will be out of Berserk. That is what we call in the biz the Avenger glitch.
Yep, it is a very, very convenient thing to go and have.
Ooh, Rubicon here, huh?
Rubicon here is mean, but if you don't physically attack, like you do against those D-Lunars, you can avoid the worst of it with those big, nasty Fire 2 counters, and you just have to deal with the fact that Wyvern's going to or excuse me, Rubicant here is going to occasionally delete one party member. Just it's fine to get life potions, you can heal them back up. They'll walk it off.
So the thing with like Rubicon is that like while the cape is open, he's weak to ice, but while the cape is closed, he absorbs ice, and it's like some kind of like cat and mouse game. But guess what? Nuke doesn't care about any of that.
Nuke is not an elemental damage, even though it looks really hot.
Like that leg.
He's not the elemental fiend of fire because he's got a nicey personality.
But thankfully, even with as long as you don't use the fight command, you can avoid the counter fire to this.
You know, Rubicant is giving Palom as many bad looks as his sister does.
Nice.
Just Palom comes up, Palom gets glared. Palom comes up, Palom gets glared. Palom doesn't get experience from this fight because he just does not have it in him to stand up to those looks.
He doesn't need it. He can take a full-on nerf Big Bang at this point. Wow, that's Kane's best weapon, and with an Avenger in hand, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, that is a very convenient thing to have. Herewaard has now completely finished off all of the fights in the bottom of the moon, but has not finished the Murasame altar where profcory found that magma key. Is Herewaard going to go back in, or is Herewaard going to take the earth crystal he has and see if he can find a wyvern there?
So, you know what this looks like to me, Bakashinobi? It looks like we're gonna have two Zeromus fights at the same time that are going to get very close, unless there's some like wild divergence. We're gonna have a very close race, it feels like to me.
Yeah, because Herewaard's going back in, going to go back through the cutscene to come into the lunar subterranean and fight that evil wall at Murasame, while profcory is getting through the Ashura at ribbon spot, which will give the earth crystal.
So they may have done the lunar subterranean in reverse, but it doesn't matter. That they're still going to do all the fights. Neither of them are going to leave mid-dive because they have the passing hand. So they're going to converge someplace.
There is a chance that profcory. Actually, both of them could. After profcory gets the earth crystal, I wouldn't be surprised if either Herewaard sees this fight, sees it's not wyvern and bails, and profcory checks the bottom of the moon, sees that wyvern's not here, and also bails with the earth crystal in hand.
Even with the pass, that will be a hard combo for sure.
profcory I can see being more inclined to do this because profcory had that D machine wipe, and profcory probably knows he is behind at the moment. He needs to make a play, and seeing that wyvern's not around, having the earth crystal in hand, that can be incentive to go and push for just, I need to make a play, I can't go and clean up this moon, I have to leave, I've got Zeromus levels already, we're gonna go.
Absolutely, like racer mentality and like meta gaming your opponent and where you at in the race. Like these racers don't know what's happening on the other side of the swing. They're both playing their own game, but based on like the way the seat's going, if they know how their opponent tends to play, if they had a nasty wipe somewhere, if there's a nasty fight that they have taken, all of these things can affect the racer mentality and make them make decisions that are logical in a metagame sense, and that's the crux of tournament play.
Yep. But Herewaard is through, is going to go and get the magma key, and is then going to have a bunch of the underground open, and Herewaard has almost every boss spot open except tower key and package.
Pretty much, yeah. So there can be two divergences here, like immediate. It could be going directly to Earth, to Tower of Sod, and opening the treasury, or going right underground. I think profcory is doing what you suggested. Oh my.
Yep. profcory checked that D-Lunars, saw it wasn't wyvern, bailed. So who remembers who was the boss who gave us the first key item of the game? Because that's one of the 3 bosses at Baron Castle.
So D-Lunars gave what? Baron? Yep. Baron are three bosses, like you said. There's the boss of the Viking spot, the boss of the Kainasu spot, but there's also a boss in the basement where Odin dwells.
Right.
That could also be Wyvern. We don't know.
Could be Wyvern, and it's not incentivized to check because it is not going to give a KO because that is a summon spot.
Interesting that profcory is taking the Rubicon though. Maybe he sees it like a non-issue fight because of the power nukes. Not sure.
Yeah, might not be terribly concerned about it because, all right, well, it's just going to go and kill one character at a time, and after it won't take too long, this should be fine. And Herewaard is opening up the underground and is going to go and just check for bosses, which I can full-heartedly support. Because that Earth Crystal that we need to, that Toria treasure we need to open, that's right next to where we go and use the path to go to Zeromus. You have Nuke. You have completed the moon. You do not have any fights currently available that are going to be terrible for you to go and face.
Yeah, we pretty much have done all of the nasty fights in the game. Pretty much.
We can go and have Wyvern at Ashura, which will be a bit unpleasant, or Wyvern at Leviathan would be unpleasant. Wyvern at Baron Basement would be very bad for profcory because profcory does not have that Baron key. But those are the hardest boss spots available at the moment. Everything else is very likely to crumble against one, maybe two nuke.
So the thing is that we also have the freebie here, so the forge could just turn up like at any moment. That's a rat tail, which leads to another key item, and there's this 2 from the tank, and there's top of tower, and the Luca key. Like, even by playing this seed normally and searching for Wyvern, the legends around the animant could just look like appear.
Yep, it's a scary thing to go and be worrying about because yes, you have a pan that you need to turn into Sheila 1, which will give you, that's 2 key item checks. That could be Adamant and Legend. You just picked up a rat tail from the Fey March. You're going down here and you're seeing there's a Lunar Sparkle in Golbez. That Lunar Sparkle at Ashura, we've seen D-Lunars. We've seen Plague. I believe we've seen Paladin early on. We've only haven't seen Ogopogo and Wyvern. That's a 50-50 shot of being Wyvern.
You absolutely check the coin flip.
Oh yeah,
There's no way.
You have to check it. You cannot go and leave it on the table. Because if that's Wyvern, that's go mode once you get through it.
Yup. Pretty much, yeah. Since you already have the Earth Crystal, you just open the treasury, save outside of Troya, and fight Zeromus. But
yep.
That's a sequence of events.
profcory is back to that D-Lunar fight, is fighting it, going to go and take it. It's Wyvern. Herewaard's in go mode, is in no mode at least. Once he's through this fight, he's in go mode.
Pretty much. profcory is lagging behind. If profcory decides to check Sod for the Wyvern, the race is over. But if profcory decides to go underground and checks this spot as well, we do still have a race. We will see what profcory, what decision profcory makes. And let me make something clear. If profcory doesn't make the quote-unquote correct decision of like where go mode is, that doesn't mean it's a bad decision. Like there are many ways to play a seed, and some are like you can go for key items, you can play it for like more statistically probable or denser spots. There are many ways to play a seed. So if he decides to go somewhere else, it doesn't mean he's playing badly.
Yeah, it's what Fey March is a very understandable spot because it's a free key item that if it's half a forge can go and speed you up. And you get 2 looks at bosses, which is very helpful when you can just peek and see it's a sparkle, I can then go and check, or you peek and see it's not a sparkle, I don't need to look at this and you can leave. And there is Wyvern down for Herewaard.
And you get rewarded a gold apple for who? Tella? No?
I would give it to Rydia because she still doesn't have 2000 HP if I'm not mistaken.
I think she has 2000 HP, but not 2300 or something like that. So yeah, Rydia will make good use of that apple.
Level 57, she does have 2100 HP, my mistake.
Still not enough to eat a full power high roll Big Bang, but close enough.
Yeah, another question is what agility is Yang at? Because you can go and get into a rather scary situation where, well, as we mentioned about Zeromus, there's very high agility, and the first breakpoint where Zeromus goes from taking one action per one tick of the ATB to requiring more than one tick of the ATB to take an action is your anchor having 28 agility. That is when Zeromus needs 2 ticks of the ATB to be able to take an action, and is a very big thing if your team is going requiring multiple ticks to get turns, while Zeromus isn't.
So, agility anchoring and just like relative agility is just like a simple math equation. So the thing is, if you get close to 28, who don't go over 28, it means that Zeromus is going to be very fast and your team is going to be slower. So that doesn't mean that. So you want to avoid that.
Yeah, and with that treasury, we've had a lot of tools to treasure. That is definitely a highly rateable treasury, if I'm not mistaken.
What's that? 2 protect rings?
I believe that was 2 crystal rings, and a ninja hat, and an Artemis bow.
That's all of those are just agility during equipment items. That's like that's the loadout you need right now.
So now we need to go and see. So I think we're going to get a check on Yang's agility if we haven't already. Going through the protecting on Tella, going to try and get him ready. So
2 scoundrels and everything. Battle speed 3. Yep, we are pretty much ready for action.
So one thing that might be a little dangerous is that Kane has the Avenger on going into the Zeromus fight.
Ooh.
Slice Special pointing out that Yang is at 28 agility. That's what you want. That is the first breakpoint. You're perfect.
That means that Zeromus is going to be a little slower, and your team will also be a little slower. So it will balance out, and if your team is fast, it may even... It's just nice, for sure.
Yep, and going and switching off the Avenger into the defense sword, because you do not want to go and start the Zeromus fight with an Avenger on. You want to try and make sure that that does not happen, because that will go and get your character glitched usually. Because if you the first turns of Zeromus, you're going to go and be clearing all your buffs until you go and transform him from the crystal from Zemus into Zeromus. Avenger goes and upsets Berserk just as the thing. If battle starts, you have the Avenger on. You no longer enter the queue, you're just berserked. If you're no longer entering the queue and you don't have anything indicating you should enter the queue, you just kind of stand there. And we don't want that.
You basically become a non-agent in the fight. You just can't fight anymore because the ATB queue doesn't care about that anymore.
Speaking of caring, I see a lot of flags out in chat. I think there's something the chat might care about. Is there something we should talk about, Alchemy?
So, Zeromus is the final boss of the game, and his script is very complex, his stats are very high, and all the moves he uses are really, really powerful. So, we don't change where he is, we only change what he looks like.
But, you know, because we change when we look at who's the random runner, we do have one important question to ask, and that is...
whose butt are we kicking tonight? Or, my favorite version of that is... who is Zeromus cosplaying as?
That is a good variant on that question, because there are over 525 different sprites for Zeromus to play as.
Way over that. We don't know the current amount at this moment in time.
The answer is a lot, and we're about to see it. Meanwhile, profcory is finding that wyvern and is getting into the fight now as Herewaard is facing Zeromus and his Chaos Mist.
Nice! It's your boy Chaos Zero from Sonic.
That would be why I don't recognize it, even though I've seen it before.
Hey, I like Sonic, so nice to have me in the booth, huh? Let me tell you all about the lore.
You know, I don't know much about the game beyond go fast and try not to go and run into things, and only, you know, run into things a lot. So one thing that's going to be a little awkward is it's really good to be able to reduce Zeromus' agility with your anchor. Another way you can reduce your Zeromus' agility is with the slow spell. And a great way to do that is to use an item called a Silk Web, which will go and apply 2 stacks of slow. Unfortunately, this team does not have them, and the only person on the team who can cast slow is Tella.
And let me tell you, Tella is kind of squishy.
And slow. It's going to take a long time for Tella to get some turns.
Thing is, we can do a little trick, a little exploit, where the spell power that Zeromus has when it's casting a counter move is actually much lower than the spell power Zeromus has when it's casting Big Bang. So if Zeromus cues the Big Bang and to make Zeromus do a counter move, it will lower the power of the next Big Bang. We call that nerfing Big Bangs. With that technique, even Tella, with how squishy he is, can survive a Big Bang, which we saw Herewaard perfectly execute.
Yep, and Herewaard looks to be going for what we call hybrid strats, where there are 2 ways to go and kill Zeromus. As we mentioned, there's a 61,000 HP hard cap on HP. You just can't go beyond that in the SNES version of Final Fantasy IV. You can, however, put up some counter scripts to go and say, yeah, after you do this much damage, I'm not just going to go and refill all my HP. Thanks for playing. We're going to go and just start back over. For Zeromus, he does that at 45,000 damage. And after you go and hit him, after you do direct damage, when you've done at least 45,000 damage, you get to face Zeromus at full HP again, and he changes script. However, as we mentioned before, reflected spells bypass that. You can skip all of that extra HP and that HP refill by just simply bouncing spells after you get close to that 45,000 damage line.
There are some ways to accomplish what we call reflex strats, even with fighters or circus, which like you can cast Berserk and then heal it afterwards. You can down your physical fighters right before the refill cutoff point, or you can just like pile damage, which is what Herewaard is doing. Herewaard is piling damage. He's going to do all the damage he can do as fast as possible. And we have no healer. Tella barely counts. Tella's half a healer. So we are basically DPS racing service.
We do have Gear 3s, which Herewaard is making good use of. Profcory is going back to the Lunar Subterranean, and I believe they are walking down to the Zeromus because they have forgotten they have the pass.
Oh no, profcory, oof. That's gonna sting when he learns about that later.
That is... It's very easy to go and get just distracted in thoughts of, okay, I've gone and found Wyvern. Wyvern's underground in Feymarch, easily available. I messed up that D-Machine grind. I need to go and make some time. Let's go. Just run back to Zeromus now. Let's get this out of the way. And just completely forgot that you got that pass from Fabul Defense. It is a lot of things, especially you can go and mark it on your tracker, but it's really easy to forget to mark things on your tracker when there's a lot of stuff going on.
These players are racing at such a high level. There's a lot that's going on. There's a lot of like what's happening now, what's going to happen afterward, what has happened, the meta we mentioned earlier. It's so easy to forget one detail that happened in like minute 12 instead.
And speaking of details that happened, we missed the detail that rocks were falling here with screen, but Hallam didn't. Nuke fired off, 9,000 damage. Herewaard is the first place finisher of this race with an official time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, 30 seconds. GG's to Herewaard. We will see if they are... Second?
And we will see if Herewaard will join us in the booth shortly.
And I do believe we are joined by Herewaard now. GG's Herewaard.
Hey,
how are
thank
you
you
feeling?
Oh, all right. Did you like Tella trying to run away from Zeromus?
We did.
I was just trying to check if Wall was still up in.
Yep.
Wrong button.
Oop.
But I don't know. Not having a healer or much healing scares me at the end there.
That's why you just do big numbers on Zeromus. You don't need healing that way.
Yeah, Yang just ended up being perfect agility, and that Avenger, I think, really helped me out there.
Yeah, that was a very nicely executed hybrid strat Zeromus kill, and didn't have to see many big bangs. Just had to survive the first one and heal up. Just from the first one, I think you're really pumping out the damage there.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was sort of counting my D machines, and then when it said Radia 52, I was just like, nailed it.
Yep,
Nice.
always good to be over than under, because it's real hard to go and squeak Rydia up from 49 to 50 when you don't have nuke.
Yeah, and the moon ended up just being perfect. Like, it was basically just all right there.
Yeah, that. What were you more excited to see on the moon? The Earth Crystal or the Magma?
Probably the magma key, just because I didn't want to deal with the hooker out, unless Wyvern was there, and if Corey had done that, then I knew I was in trouble, but Wyvern just ended up being in the perfect spot too.
And thankfully, finding the magma key in the moon meant that logical underground progression could not be the hook that could not be gated by Wyvern in the hook route. So we were like really cheering about that Wyvern could not be in King Queen.
That is something that never crossed my mind.
Well, now you know for the future.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's really easy to go and just miss that in a race. There was a race broadcasted where there was a goal bez at the King Queen Evan spot that 3 of the 4 racers fought through, myself included, and one of them saw it's like, wait a second, reset, ran back and checked his trap chest and got a magma key there. So you were not alone.
Yeah, that giant Luge took longer than I thought he was going to. Apparently that he still has lots of HP in each form in that spot. And then those guards just first I forgot that everybody else had stone and could try to do that, and then I don't know.
But the guards decided that they're not playing that game. They're here to hurt.
Yeah, so fine running out of that. I didn't mind checking it in the end, but had I lost by 2 minutes, I would have obviously not been happy with that.
What were you expecting to obtain out of that giant fight? More EXP for the moon, and a Cecil, an Edge, something to like catch up on because he will get the double experience. What did you get?
More just checking the fight. Like I said, I didn't think Luge was going to take as long as he did. And then guards can be free if you can just land stone, but nobody could land stone, so at that point I was just like, I'm out of here. So I didn't really care what came after that, I just cared what the boss was.
That's totally fair. Like at that point, if you find that cheeky Wyvern at CPU and your opponent doesn't check that's a leg over your opponent.
Yeah, so I guess that was my thought mostly.
Yeah, with that early Tella into a Baron Inn giving you Darkness plus Rydia, and the Moon giving you a Palom, was there any consideration not doing a D-Machine grind, or did you respect the giant neon letters saying, you should do a D-Machine grind?
As soon as I got Rydia, I was pretty sure I was going to do it. And then Palom, yeah, just sealed it. It's like, well, gotta go find Ethers, and then we're climbing the giant.
Not an Ether Ore question at that point, huh?
Yeah, there's no question. It's like, just get these guys to nuke, and then we just go. The rest of the seed's free.
That was, free is... How free did you consider that moon on the scale of 1 to everything?
Oh yeah, that was a very easy moon, wasn't it? I can't remember what else was there. Ruby didn't like Palom, I knew that.
Ruby had a lot of mean looks for Palom, I agree.
Well, the
Crystal was free.
Yeah, the keeping Evelyn at the Crystal Sword Altar, which is an objective that you could have done at any moment after obtaining the Darkness Crystal, was pretty free.
Yeah, that was convenient. Lunar's not too bad at that spot, really. If you can put out enough damage. I don't know.
So did you pay close attention to the spoiler log after the seed finished?
Not really. I had to go walk around. I had too many nerves.
Would you like to hear where the Adamant and Legend Sword were?
Were they at Sheila?
They were at Sheila 1 and 2.
Wow.
That's just absolutely incredible.
the real funny thing is the question as to which is faster, the Wyvern or the Sheila 1 and 2.
I mean, it's
You
got
will
to
have
be
to
Wyvern
measure.
because otherwise you have to go back down to the underworld again.
You have the pan from the ordeals. You just have to walk down that cave. Oh, right. Excuse me. You have to. You're right. I was thinking walking back down a path, not
Yeah,
flying
back
the air
down
to
to back down to Kokol, and then you're gonna waste time shopping.
there.
Oh yeah, you will waste time shopping. Everyone spends time at Coco Shop, even if they don't need anything. They will spend time at Coco Shop.
I mean, I'm sure I would have because I wasn't positive I could get through Zeromus as easy as it did, but it was a pretty friendly seed for the most part.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely a seed, all right. That is. Oh. Well, that is your first of 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, and you've got the 1-game lead advantage. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling good. I was feeling kind of down. I kept running 2-hour practice seeds, which I know is normal if it's like hook routes and stuff. But I was feeling down. Then I ran like an hour 20 seed this morning and got all pumped up again. And so I'm glad to drop another one in under an hour and a half here.
Yeah, that's definitely nice to go and see that too. That's always good to have a good, good first race. Nice, strong feeling to go in, and best of luck in the next bit of your set.
Hey, thank you very much.
Alchemy, do you have any final questions?
Not at all.
All right,
Did
then
you back
I
up?
will. I think it's time to let Herewaard go. Have a great evening, Herewaard.
Hey, yeah, you as well.
And with that, we are joined by the second place finisher of the race, profcory. GG's profcory, you put up an incredibly valiant effort, all things considered, in that seed.
Yeah. I guess I felt good about most of it. Except for the one big thing, which was a bummer. It like I can't tell how annoyed I should be because it was like unlucky for Tella to miss a week and kind of like send everything out of control. But on the other hand, it was sort of my fault for not middle slotting him in the first place to kind of avoid that problem. I realized it right away too. I almost reset out to like make sure it was right, but I was like, it'll be fine, right? And then
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
easy to say, all right, I got to ride out this decision. I've spent too much time trying to get this fight, because you had to spend a bit of time going and getting that grind encounter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I instead of having my setup right now is a little different than normal. Not using that as an excuse here, where it played great, he deserved to win, but just like I realized, like, I'm gonna do a D machine grind. I don't have that on my laptop anywhere, so I'm like, while the giant cutscene's playing, I'm like pulling it up on my phone, and it's like harder to read on there.
Yeah.
But no, GG's to Herewaard. Looking forward to getting those next couple races in. I feel like the last couple tournaments, I have a little bit of a history now of really screwing up my first restreamed race. Like I remember the last time there was like a wyvern at Gulbez at the Dwarf Castle, and I like fired a sylph at it without thinking and just got mega nuked to death, that sort of thing. So just, get those out of the way. It'll be great the rest of the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. You still got 2 games. Definitely have plenty to come back from. It's real easy to get nerves. I cannot blame you in the slightest of that. And especially if you're working with a different setup, you need to go and change your thinking. You have to take your mind off the race for a bit. It's really easy to miss those details. Like, I have to go move Tele into the middle slot for the accuracy bonus on weak.
Yeah.
And also, it's really easy to like focus on like the one mistake or whatever mistakes you may have done in the race that maybe may have caused you loss. But you have to remember that you played the rest of the set absolutely expertly. You did so well on so many fights, and you weren't that far behind from Herewaard. So just focus on that and just like play your best next time, and I'm sure you will have an amazing chance of succeeding.
I appreciate it. Well, I gotta go, folks, but I appreciate y'all restreaming. Appreciate the team, as always, for organizing everything. GG's again to Herewaard. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, and have a great evening. GG's on your race.
you.
It was a great run.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we are at the end of our broadcast. We have that was a great race, and we're going to be sending you off to another race where is a race between Solaris and Rowdy Roddy Sniper. So feel free to go. Make sure that when we go and start, excuse me, let me rephrase that. When we go and join the Randomania viewers, that we do not spoil the results of this race, as some people may wish to go and watch it. Feel free to tell them it was a good one, though.
If you spoil, you get the bond. And don't forget, at 9 p.m. Eastern on this channel, once again, we will have a wonderful, wonderful race.
So enjoy the race at Randomania. Come back for more. Just enjoy the next, just accept that the next few hours are going to be free enterprise. It's a great time.
Take care, everyone, and have fun watching the race.